This podcast contains adult language, descriptions of violence, sexual references, and other possibly offensive themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to this episode of Back to the Story, where friends come together to play Dungeons and Dragons. I'll be your DM, Klouse. Let's get started.
If anyone can talk a Balgarth out of a fight, it's you.
If anyone can keep us alive, it's you.
But if you ask me what my calling would be, I'd say that of a defender of my friends.
You don't need to change anything.
I would give my life to see them through.
I finally only get into trouble when I'm around you lot.
I never want to have that kind of power over somebody.
She lands upon the deck, but just on her toes, like a dancer, like a ballet dancer, as if the weight of sin has yet to fall on her shoulders.
And the light of nature will be brought to them.
We haven't done this before. Does that make us professional?
That would make you amateurs at best.
At best, I like that.
I've had a hard time finding answers in my life.
I'm glad I'm here too.
Where are you from, Ezekiel?
Wherever your wife goes when she dreams, and I'll walk away.
Fuck you and fuck your will.
There's no redemption for the likes of you.
You were never loved as a child.
How do you want to do this? Okay. Alright, so previously, after meeting with the court arcanist known as the Black Room, the Bronze Scales found expensive and potent cocktails at the Jekyll and Hyde for their last night in Whiteguard. Kalvyn reported the devils cut to the hounds before catching up on magically enhanced drinks. The next day, early, before the sun peeked over the horizon, the Scales set sail from Western across the Sea of Storms. How many S's can I say? Heading out to the Ionel Forest. Over these turbulent waves, Ezekiel spoke of a destined mission and Ellory of her deep past, as others designed weapons, talked, sparred, and prepared to adventure further towards the holy city of Nymunet. We come back to the story here, as you've all landed in Port Kratru, the foyer to lands and people foreign to all but Ezekiel. Chaos of all colors expands from the docks, flowing from the ships of all kinds, and some you've never seen before. You see more golden elves here than you've ever seen before, and some kinds you've never seen at all, disembarking from strange ships, some of scales and strange cut armors and cloth, some pale covered in dark tattoos and wild hides, and others devoid of pigment besides gleaming eyes. Sounds fill the city with merchants haggling, dockhands grunting, and distant music, laughter, and life. Standing among this chaos, what would you like to do?
While we're among all these different types of people on the docks, Vesper's going to kind of stand on her toes, and I just want to see if I see anyone who might look like they're also a Genasi. Since this might be the only time I ever see someone like me.
Give me a perception check.
Okay. Ooh, that's really good. That's a 21.
Yeah, so looking out across the dock, chaos of colors and people, you do see, looking at this strange, large ship, it has, the outside of it is covered in shields that look like they've just been nailed into the sides. You see the ship has a strange lattice of wood that's hauling some massive stone architectural artifact that they're hauling and straining it with ropes, trying to move it onto the docks off of the ship. At the front of the ship, you see a crystal-mounted, humming device of some sort. You see a scaled humanoid standing beside it. You see numerous others of these scaled entities walking on two legs, armored in strange foreign cuts of cloths. You see the sail of the ship itself has stripes diagonal on a black sail, yellow and orange, like that of a tiger. And on that ship, besides the scaled entities, you see two individuals, which you first think are tieflings. But as you take a second look, you see no horns, you see no tails. You see orangish, reddish skin. You see hair that moves swiftly. It's hard to tell from this distance, and you haven't really seen any before besides your father. But do you think they might be of heritage similar to yours?
If Amsen's near me, I'm going to grab his arm and point them out very excitedly.
Yeah, I'm near you.
Do you see those two on the ship?
Maybe? I think so.
I've never seen fire genasi, like full fire genasi, but they might be, do you think?
Maybe. There's only one way to find out.
Should we go talk to them?
If you want to.
I really want to.
Alright, let's go talk to them then.
Does everyone mind if I'll meet you? I know we're trying to find somewhere to stay.
I'm assuming at this point that Ball and I have made our way back to shore.
Yeah, you've made your way back to shore, sopping wet still, as you see Vesper pointing out to Amsen something up on a ship. The rest of you gathered around.
By all means, Vesper, go do your thing. We're pretty easy to find. DM, has Ezekiel passed through this port before?
You have. Yeah, you've seen this place.
Is there an inn that I possibly could just have off the top of my head that we can go to, maybe?
Yeah. When you came through before, would you have stayed at a cheaper place, more expensive, moderate?
Actually, if I'm perfectly honest, he probably would have camped. He had a group at that point, so maybe I don't know that.
Okay. You know the general layout of the city, we'll say.
Yeah, so I can at least point her where we're going to look for an inn.
Okay. And I think I remember Amsen asked some people last time, as you'll just entered the docks. So between Ezekiel and Amsen, you'll have a general idea of an area of the South Strand, just an area of beach along the city. Has a lot of entertainment and inns of varying degrees of cost.
Well, meet you there then? Does anyone else want to wander with me?
Well, I wanted to take a look at what ships were here anyway, so I'll come along.
Kalvyn?
I thought I'll go look for a place to stay, I guess.
Okay. So it sounds like Vesper, Amsen, and Ellory are going to check out these potential genasis and just look at ships in general on the docks. And then Ezekiel, Kalvyn, along with Ball and Meli, are going to go find a place to stay. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So Vesper, Amsen, and Ellory, you head closer to this ship. As you get closer, you can see this massive rock structure has intricate carvings, glyphs and runes upon it. What languages do you guys speak?
Primordial, Giant, and Draconic.
So it's Draconic. Anyone that speaks Draconic would see some of these runes. And it's hard to see because it is distance, but you can definitely tell it's Draconic of some sort. Just a quick glance, the rock is extremely old. As you approach, sort of intently, just walking straight to that, you see the dragon-scaled entity grabbing the crystal that's mounted on the front and kind of shifting it in your direction. Just keeping an eye on it.
We're just checking out what's going on.
Don't get too close.
Does it look like those other two crew members are disembarking, or?
You can see the two closer now. Their hair is both auburn color. There's a male and a female, slender, in strange, not quite robes, a strange cut of very airy looking cloth in reds and orange and yellow. They look like they're talking. They don't seem to be doing any work.
Kind of look to Amsen and Ellory, who are much better at conversing with people than I am. I don't know how to get their attention.
All right. Let's see what we can do here. I'm going to get the attention of the person who is just talking to us.
Okay. Yeah, you wave your hand and they kind of look at you.
I have a question. Do you think, and I point over to the other two, do you think we could have a word with those two for just a moment?
This dragon kid begins to look over, and you can see he has like a copperish, yellowish scales to them, wearing armor, begins to look over as another entity comes up behind them and slaps the back of their head. Pay attention. You see this one has blue scales. Snaps him back to attention to continue to look and be on guard, but this one kind of moves over to the edge of the ship, leans over it. What are you searching for?
Well, we saw a couple of people that we might recognize, and we were thinking on saying hi to them. And I point over at the two potential fire genasi again.
This one looks over their shoulder. You, suit, other one, my friends. And she gestures over this blue-scaled dragonkin gestures over as the two Genasi approach the edge, looking over, curious,
I'm going to look
confused.
at Vesper and just quietly say, can you, give a little smoke or something like that?
Yeah, so I'll wave and just kind of say in primordial, well met, and let smoke kind of curl off my fingers.
Both of their eyebrows raise, and your accent is similar to your father's, though it's changed over the years since he doesn't speak it much. Their voice open, and you suddenly realize you're not nearly as proficient in the language as you thought you were, as you hear what sounds like crackling bonfire or a fireplace. These sounds of crackling and popping flames dancing is what it sounds like as they open their mouths. You can understand it. To see someone this far. Pleasure.
Pleasure. Do you want to come down so we can...
They head down the gangplank, walking off. You can tell at this point that though their clothing is foreign, it is finely made as they approach. You see a few pieces of jewelry on their thumbs and pinkies. You see one has a bracelet on their left wrist, and there's 3 earring piercings in the female's right ear. You can see they are clearly not workers of the ship. They are passengers, and they probably have a point on them. As they approach and get close to you, we're going to jump back to the other crew. As Ezekiel, Kalvyn, Ball, and Meli are heading towards the South Strand, you walk along the city, busy. You see a large trading market area on your way there that has large mast in the ground, embedded in the chitin, with strings of rope connecting it, holding up these sails, giving shade to the area where merchants haggle and try to sell their wares. You see strange fruits that pulse like hearts. You see strange bamboo shafts that almost curl around like a shell. You see dyes of colors, vibrant and moving, you've never seen before, selling all these strange wares as you move by, heading to this area of the South Strand. This beach, you see the architecture is very open. You haven't seen a door thus far, though you do see cloth that kind of separates. You see most of these buildings maybe have 2 whole walls, sometimes 3, very open. And heading to the South Strand, you see numerous different areas that look like possible inns, taverns, cocktail lounges, and the like.
Well, my goal would be to find something quaint, just simple, not necessarily voiced, at the same time, not crap.
Okay. Ezekiel, are you looking for the same thing?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So looking in that area, you can see clearly there's one that is very fine looking. It has these jars with little flying entities within them that seem to glow ever so slightly, even in the daytime. There's 2 others. One has you notice all the banners of this city are masked with sails, and the sails sort of act as the sign for the shop or business or tavern or inn. And this one has an orange sunset on a black sail, and it looks like a nice-ish sort of cabanas that offer some privacy. You see just judging off the patrons there, they seem to be well-dressed, but not extremely luxurious. And then there's another place where you see these strange, Ezekiel, you saw them last time, and you're still not sure what they are. These strange mix between a raccoon and a cat that are kind of walking around, chasing away rats and bugs. And you see this looks like a hostel. You see the sail banner has a blue 6-toed paw on a white sail. It looks like a little cheaper, but not quite alleyway living.
Middle of the road is kind of what I'm leaning towards.
Fine by me, though I do want to check out one of those little critters.
I'm not surprised. Kind of why I wanted to avoid that place.
It's fine. I can go chat on my own time, thank you.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't as much the problem as when you have the chat and we are staying in their establishment. But anyway, let us move to the one we have decided upon.
And you move towards it. You see, as you get closer, you see that sail banner of the sunset on a black sail. And you see the sign as you get closer. It's called the Casa Cabana. And is a ring of cabana-like half rooms. They have 2 whole walls, a half wall with a cloth covering the rest, and then 1 full wall is just missing. Just the sand and chitin runs beneath it. Inside you can see a few nice-ish beds and cots of some sort, a few sandstone kind of pillars for you to put drinks on and various things. You can see they're kind of built in a ring around a central bonfire with one of the cabanas that seems to be like the bar and kitchen, sort of the main area there as you approach. You see that main cabana there has like an opened window where they're selling various food, fish, salad, few drinks, rum, nothing fancy.
Does this place look like it can house ball?
Yeah, there's no ceilings, so there's no problem with that. The rooms aren't huge, but they're big enough for a ball to fit.
Okay. Well then, I guess we'll need to find a proprietress or somebody.
Yeah. So, a golden elf you see as you approach behind the bar sees you, waves you over. Can I get you something? A drink, perhaps, rum? Citronelle?
Well, I believe we're looking for a couple of rooms for the foreseeable future.
Of course.
Do you have any available?
She pulls out a little parchment clipboard. We have a few left. It looks like we have 3 cabanas left. Yeah, they are a gold per night.
Okay, that sounds accommodating. If you agree with the rest of my friends, do you agree?
Yeah, that's fine.
Should we get all 3 and just let people divvy up as they will, or just 2 and do boy girls?
I think we should get all 3. I don't know how many of us can room with Ball, and we do have Orizana as well.
Righto. Okay, we will acquire the 3. How long? How long should we put, like, a few gold down, or what do you think? How long are we gonna be here? We gotta slay baddies or something, right? That's what we do in towns.
I mean, I don't know of any yet that are on our vanquish list, but, I mean, it's entirely possible. I would prefer to get on the road before too long. It sounds like we have quite a few stops, but, at least a night or 2.
If you pay for 3 nights, I will throw in a free drink for each.
Sounds wonderful. 3 nights.
3 nights it is. So that is 9 gold?
9 gold, alrighty. We'll mark that off.
She takes it and then she says, so 3, we'll say 6 drinks. How many of there are there?
There are 7 of us.
Does that include Orizana?
She shrugs her shoulders and waves her hand. 7 drinks is fine. Just come see me. She holds out her hand to shake yours. Name is Daffy. Daffy Saltlace. And when she... Go ahead,
I was just going to grab her hand and be like, I'm Kalvyn, son of Klein. We come from Embershore. I lived on a farm with my
Can I get
daddy
the key?
Oh. You can see as Kalvyn turns on, like she's trying to pull her hand away. Like she's smiling politely at first, but then she's like, oh, that's great. Yes. Eventually she pulls her hand away and there is no key. But Alex here will show you to your rooms. And she gestures to another female elf who kind of rolls over the bar, just climbs over it basically, and then half skips towards these 3 cabanas that are next to each other around the bonfire. This, and this. When the rest of your friends come, just wave to me or to Daphis and you'll be good.
Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. We are very aware. We've been traveling for a while, and these seas, they wear you down, and it's nice to have a place to stay and to be able to appreciate such fine hospitality
in the rooms.
Yeah, that sounds like a mighty fine idea.
So go into one of the set up, something between a cot and a hammock. Strangely enough, you see a pillar of this chitinous sandstone mixture. It looks like it's basically a nightstand. It's pretty sparse. Otherwise, the ground is full of sand. Overhead, about half of the room is covered by a shade. It looks like that can be expanded if it rains or something, but otherwise it's very open.
I like it.
Okay. Yeah.
So as you, Ball, Meli, Ezekiel, Orizana kind of unload your stuff, we jump back to the other crew who has the 2 Genasi approaching. Hello. My name is Sut. This is Faras. Pleasure.
Pleasure. My name is Vesper.
Good to meet you. You speak our language. I've not seen someone of you before.
I'm from the material plane myself, and not entirely a fire heritage.
I see. Elf, perhaps?
Orin, actually. Air.
Orin? Of course. That is unique.
This is Ellory and Amsen. They're my friends.
They switch back to common. Hello. Pleasure.
Pleasure
What
to meet you
brings
as
you
well.
to this place? Of course, Elizabeth. And you see strangely, unsettling when they do that. They both turn at the same time to Amsen, both say the same thing, pleasure to meet you as well, and they both give a slight, ever so slight bow. It's unsettling how in sync that one movement was. You haven't noticed it before.
We're on a pilgrimage, actually, to Nymenet.
Pilgrimage. We are sort of on the opposite. We found some goods. Selling them. A pilgrimage after money, maybe.
I'm sorry, I've never met any other Genasi before. This is kind of exciting for me.
We are rare on this place, but travel far and we will see more.
Have you ever been to, I'm sure you're from the fire plane?
Yes. They're both from there. It is beautiful.
I haven't heard much, I have to admit, but...
If you ever do go, visit the salt fields. They are stunning.
I'll keep that in mind, thank you.
And, we should get back to business before these mercenaries break our goods. As they look over to this, huge rock that's struggling, the rope is fraying, it's not looking good. It's a couple bad moments from falling into the water. But if you are ever in, and the female one speaks up at this point, Fuegris is not fireplane, that is what, and she kind of gestures to Amsen and Ellory, smiling, nodding. That is what they would call it, is Fuegris. But if you're ever there, look us up. Sut, Faras.
Certainly, thank you for your time. It was really nice to be able to meet someone like myself.
Pleasure. And they put their hands out again. In less of a handshake and more of a kiss the ring position. It's a very strange way of shaking hands.
I will kind of glance at the other two and oblige, I guess.
They kind of chuckle at your awkward trying to fulfill customs you don't fully understand. Though they smile and nod and bow with one hand over their stomach as they do so, before turning back to the ship to deal with their business.
That was so cool.
Well, that was interesting.
I don't even know what to say. I've been wanting to meet another Genasi for so long.
Well, glad we could make that happen for you.
You should probably go find the others, but thank you. You wanted to find something.
Yeah. Do you mind if we just take a look and see what ships are in port?
Sure.
And, like when we arrived in Whiteguard, I'm just looking for the two names that I found when I was looking up ships before we left.
Okay. Roll an investigation check for me.
Okay. That's a 2.
Okay. Asking around, looking around, you see there's a significant amount of Golden Elf ships, various elven names. They usually translate to something. Some of them is joking, 2 for flinches, keen blade, things like that. You find out the name of this dragonkin ship. It's called the Taz-Hazar. Best known Draconic, it roughly translate to Tiger Dragon. And actually, before y'all leave, y'all do see one of the dragonkin has yellowish-orange stripes on black scales. A pattern, unlike all the others, which are just a standard color or shade. You find out another ship is called the Grisha, which is not from here, is all you really get from that. But otherwise, standard run-of-the-mill, a few halfling vessels, nothing crazy.
All right. Well, I wasn't really expecting anything. Let's go find the others.
And jumping back to the Casa Cabana, you're kind of finishing picking rooms and sorting your gear as you see the others, Amsen, Ellory, Vesper, are kind of pointed in your direction, eventually asking around, finding them in these 3 cabanas.
So we're all bunking up for the night.
Yeah, who's gonna bunk with who? Is my question.
Always an interesting question.
I don't really have a preference, so wherever you want to stick me.
Ezekiel also snorts. It's not just...
She kind of gives you a look.
Oh.
I'm fine with whatever room, so I guess I will simply just pick one, and let's go with that.
And we all find rooms for the evening.
Okay. Yeah, you find a place to put your stuff if you leave it there, and eventually find rooms and pick which ones you're staying in. And then otherwise probably convene either with how many people you are. The rooms aren't big. They're like 10 by 10. Bulk and lay down, but it's hard for y'all to all stand in there, but you meet right outside by where there's a not currently burning bonfire to discuss where to go next and what to do next.
Kalvyn will pointedly try to wave to the sun elf, or the gold elf, whoever was the person that gave us the rooms, just be like, these are the other folk, and, and then explain to the rest the free drink scenario.
She kind of shouts from the bar there. Do you want to jinx now?
Sure, that'd be lovely.
Sure.
Salt rum, citronade?
I would love some salt rum.
2 for 2 of that.
Yeah,
some
sure,
coconut
just all
milk.
around.
Sure.
And milk.
She shakes her head in confusion. One at a time. I heard salt rum, coconut? There's some coconut around here.
Just give me the whole coconut, if you could.
Sure, why not? She kind of shrugs at trying to get the rest of the order. She's like, fuck it, whatever, you're getting what I give you. And she takes these small, looks like bamboo cups that have just been cut and pours some of that ale. You see it sloshes out in like a slushy format. As she kind of holds her hand waving above it. And then she brings out a coconut and hits it with a big machete, cutting it open, and leaves them at the bar for you to collect as you go over, taking the cups, drinking them down. Tastes like a salty margarita and coconut milk.
Ezekiel will pull out his map. Alright, so we should talk about what we're going to do from here, because that'll help figure out what kind of supplies we need and if we're looking for a ship or possibly some horses.
Right. Vesper will pull out her map or itinerary or whatever it is that I've been working on for the straight pilgrimage.
Okay.
So you've been this way before, haven't you, Ezekiel?
Yes. Where I'm trying to head to is near Briar Bridge, on point roughly to the center of the continent. Now, Nomakov is down here, and it's like the southeast, right? If I'm remembering this map? Okay, good. He put the picture.
Yeah, put it in there for y'all's reference. It's not to scale or anything. It's just a rough. Though Ezekiel's is actually very good in narrative.
And then Nominet is all the way up in the corner here. Either Briar Bridge or Novikov would be on the way, but unfortunately they're quite separate from each other. So I guess my first question is to Meli. Is your internship or whatever it was have a start date that you're trying to hit?
Not particularly. And she shrugs.
I kind of want to roll an insight check on that, even though Meli's not here.
Since she's not here, she kind of shrugs and she explains there's no specific date. It's very far away. It's assumed it's not going to be a super quick travel to get there.
Well, with Orizana and all of this, it'd be my preference to go up to Briar Bridge first. Though land travel is going to take quite a while. I believe 19 days on foot is what we decided on, or you told me?
Yeah, standard pace, 19 days.
We could get some horses and possibly trim that down a bit. Ball's the problem there, but I think I can handle it. you'll see Ezekiel just kind of like sigh and grit his teeth for something, but I can take care of Bo.
Do we want horses? I mean, I know it might be a little bit more convenient, but I kind of assumed the journey was part of the experience, right?
And that was kind of my understanding.
Well, how many places are there to stop along the way? Towns, villages.
Do you mean how many do we want to stop, or how many are there on the map?
I'm just thinking any place that we can resupply, how much do we need to be prepared for when we set out, versus how much can we pick up along the way as needed?
Oh, I thought we were like routing our Epcot Center, kind of being like, who wants to go to France kind of thing. But that's... Alright, never mind.
So looking at the map and comparing the notes from Varus, there's a rough line he took decades ago from Kratru up to Endera, then crossing over and going north through Briarbridge. That dotted line there, he did that decades ago, so who knows if that's a good route anymore. But you guys there are routes between some of those places, but you also could cut off corners and just go through wilderness. More dangerous, quicker. It's just kind of a balance of what you'll want to do, where you're heading, and how fast you want to get there, and what you want to deal with along the way.
Well, Ezekiel, is this a good path, or should we find something different?
I imagine I traveled much more through the wilderness when I went, so I'm not as familiar with the major roadways, which I think would be safer. It was easier for us mainly to just run.
Well,
Ezekiel, give me a history check.
Pretty sure I'm not good at that, but I will try.
Okay, 14.
Okay.
So you're able to, as you're just heading through the wilderness, you were actually able to determine some of the dangers instead of just turning into a bird and flying away, or turning into an animal and running away. You determined in the wilderness between areas, the danger kind of between Kratru and Briarbridge, somewhere in there, there's a bugbear fort somewhere. And so that was one of the dangers, The rest, a lot of beast, some of them flying. But beyond, that the bugbears were the one that most of the dangers lied. You knew they laid traps, they laid ambushes somewhere in between Briarbridge and Kratru.
I'll relay that. I don't know this particular route very well, since we sort of cut straight through, but I assume we could figure it out. I mean, if we're not in any particular hurry, I would like to get to Briarbridge sooner rather than later, but there's a chance I could get word to them at some point. We do have a few people that travel outside the colony now and then. And perhaps, given our line of work that we tend to do along this journey, get Orizana out of immediate danger.
That's what I was going to suggest. I think that we should try to take as safe of a route as possible since we have Orizana to worry about. And once we bring her to where we're going to take her, then after that we can just travel wherever we want to put ourselves.
I agree. We will want to get her geared up a little bit before we go. And I turn to Orizana and in Elvish say, we're going to be traveling on the road a bit. Are there any weapons that you're comfortable with using in case we get into any trouble?
I'm good with the bow.
Okay. Maybe we can see about getting you one before we leave. But, I think in general, if we do have to fight off wild animals or bandits or whatever, it might be best for you to stick close to Amsen as much as possible. I think that'll be the safest.
She looks towards him and nods. Okay.
Kalvyn will look at his shield, then look at Amsen, and then look at Ellory and be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Kalvyn, 1, I don't get hit very often. 2, you're usually in front of me anyways.
What? I was agreeing. I don't know what the problem... yeah.
As they all speak in Elvish, I just kind of exchange a look with Paul and Ezekiel, like,
I'll have a brief conversation in Primordial with Vesper so she feels less left out.
Yeah, so what have y'all decided? where you're heading, how are you heading it, doing any preparations beforehand?
Your Ezekiel's map is more modern, right? It's a newer map because we bought it up.
Primarily topographical, yeah.
Okay. We could see if there's anyone else who's traveling inland and if they know any particular routes. I agree. Let's stay close to the main roadways to stay safe until we reach Prairie Bridge and deliver Orizana, and then we can do whatever we want to head the rest of the way. We're no stranger to the wilderness and its perils.
All right.
Is it, other than bringing Orizana to an armory, is there anything else that we want to do while we're right here?
I have a couple things I'd like to do while we're in the city.
We should probably get rations, and I just want to browse some of the shops and see if I can find something.
And I would like to converse with some storytellers around these parts.
I wouldn't mind visiting the rummery if you think we have enough time.
Well, technically, we bought these rooms for 3 days, so we've got plenty.
Okay.
I'm sorry, do we know if this place has got a library or is well known for its knowledge?
We're not sure. You can roll a check. Intelligence?
Right. I don't know. I'm just gonna throw it out to the group if this is an opportunity. I mean, it's a new port. I know we have a few mysteries in our bags. If we want to try to maybe uncover something, I don't know, just try to see if we just exhaust all resources as they go.
We could take tomorrow to prepare for travel, spend at least one more night. Everybody can go, get some shopping done, do some research. If there's reason to stay one more day, anybody picks up anything, then we have the room. We're not in a particular hurry. Good to give Orizana a few days rest anyway. Are we sure she's going to be able to walk the whole way? How in shape is she?
I've been checking on her, so how?
Yeah, so all of you would be able to look at her and see she's better than she was. She's actually able to stand and move. Vesper, who's been keeping a closer eye on her, there was some significant atrophy from when she was imprisoned in the cell. So she's not one that's going to be doing any Olympic races anytime soon, but she's getting to where she can walk. She just may need more breaks than most.
I'll relay that. We could always perhaps get a single pack horse, carry a lot of our supplies, and could help Orizana along.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I would suggest, that she does walk as much as possible to get those muscles back, but she shouldn't have to strain herself.
Okay, so who's going where to do what? I think Kalvyn is looking for research. I heard some shopping. Who's going where?
Kalvyn will try to get as anybody, he'll probably try to get Amsen and Meli involved in the research as much as possible, as he is illiterate.
Amsen would definitely be along for that. Amsen would definitely be good.
I think Ellory would probably come along as well, though it's not her favorite way to spend the time, but...
Well, Ellory, you and I could go shopping. We could find armor for Orizana together, and...
Sure.
Let's do that. Ezekiel, where do you want to go?
I might go wander around the port, talk to some travelers. I have some places I need to figure out where the hell they might be.
Do you want to take my itinerary so you can kind of see how close we are?
Sure.
Okay. So as y'all split to go on your various submissions to meet back, Kalvyn, Amsen, and Meli, you'll go to find research, stories. Give me investigation. At advantage because of Meli and Kalvyn, you are all helping each other. So one of you will give me investigation.
I can roll that.
While he's rolling, can we establish, probably while I suggested doing the research, maybe that we're all on the same page as far as what the fudge is we're all dealing with? We got Valkyrie from the sky, towers with demons, and what's it's and, all sorts of shit.
Well, I would assume that Kalvyn would be particularly interested in anything to do with that vision that he got when he was blessed by the priest, so I think that's, at least for Amsen, going to be the major thing that he's going to look for. And I didn't roll super great, so I am going to use luck, which is a little bit better. So that's a 19 total.
Okay. So as you're kind of walking through the city, asking around, looking for a library or some place where you might be able to get some research done, Kalvyn brings up the tower. Were there any other things you were looking up as you're kind of discussing this along the way between places, asking around?
Since we're looking into religious stories and visions anyways, I guess I can look into maybe just try to find a few more answers about our visitor on the boat from a few days ago.
Okay, sure. So asking about, you fairly quickly discover there's no library here. The Golden Elves particularly transmit histories orally. Sometimes they'll carve upon masts and upon their ships, but no papers or anything like that. But you do get pointed towards the trading market. There is some bookseller that's currently in town. They said, look for the Wagon. You'll head that way, looking around and eventually asking around. You spot this wagon. You see it's a covered wagon. It's not very big. You notice it's longer than it is tall, but as you approach it, you see there's a singular mule that's kind of strapped onto this wagon. And you see there's a side window that's currently open like a roving food truck in wagon style. You see inside there's piles of books all over the place, almost no room to move. And behind the counter you see a halfling gentleman. You see he has white hair, balding patch on the top, but a very thick white mustache. Hello. Welcome to the Wagon of Books. I'm working on the name, but I have a lot of books.
Pleasure
and
to
they're
meet
in
you.
a wagon. It makes sense to me.
They are. That's what I thought. Right? Why confuse
It's simple. It goes
It's
straight
super
to the
simple.
point. Yep.
I like you.
I like you. Post up right back.
He kind of leans over as far as he can with his short little arms.
He slaps super hard. Yay!
He kind of shakes his hand in pain.
Pleasure to meet you, good sir. We are looking for a couple of books, possibly about of religious material, particularly related to Valisol and to divine beings such as angels.
Oh, like, okay, sure. More of a history guide. Let me see. And he goes back, turns his back on you, and just starts scrambling through, looking at books, flipping through. It knocks an entire stack of books over. Shit. Stacking them, searching through these books. He eventually pulls out a smaller, like, pamphlet book, brings it to the counter. This has notes. And he gestures at it, and you see it looks like a book of hymns and poems about Valisol. I don't have a lot of books on that particular subject, but angels, I've read about angels. There's a couple other books about angels, less specifically. Champions of the gods, help fight the titans.
Oh, hey, that sounds amazing. Do you have anything about Solar?
Yeah, I have a good one, actually. And he scrambles, digs, comes back 5 minutes later with a strange-looking book bound in stone, and he kind of opens it up. There was one Solar. He came down here, settled a mission, of course, as they always are. But he betrayed Valisol and became a god king somewhere. It's unclear where, but somewhere. I think out west. He closes the book. There's a lot of books here, to be honest, and I've read almost all of them. I can rent the books out if you want to read them yourself, if you're a scholar, but I also know humbly a decent amount if you have some questions more specific that I could answer for. And he reaches over knocks a jar off and brings it back up. There's a few copper coins in the bottom. For tips, maybe? And he places the tip jar just kind of on the counter there.
Well, I don't know about you, Kalvyn, but I would definitely like to see that book about the Solar God King. As well
this
as
is
that,
it.
Yeah, as well as that book for Hymns on Vanasol. I'm a singer and storyteller, so.
Oh, I don't sing very well, but this is also the hymn book right here. You're welcome to. You're not going to take it, are you?
Well, I wasn't thinking on taking it, but purchasing it.
Oh, you can purchase this one, but I kind of want to hold on to this one. You can read it though. And he kind of like shakes his tip jar a little bit.
Are you opposed, Kalvyn?
No, yeah, let's, whatever we need to do.
Alright, sure. We'll take a look at the book on the Solar, and I guess I'll purchase the Book of Hymns.
Okay, sure. And he kind of closes the big stone book, slides it over, and he slides the hymn towards you all. Like 5 silver
sure.
For the hymns?
I can do that. So I will give him 5 silver.
He looks shocked and happy, pleased, as you put the 5 silver in a tip jar, putting it aside. Taking the big stone book, you open it, and it's written on these slabs of stone. What languages do you speak, Amsen?
I speak Common, Elven, and Dwarven.
Okay, so this is in Dwarven, and is written, as you look through, in like a journal format, semi-narratively about some dwarf that was captured by these people that wore masks. Every mask was different, but he never saw these people without a mask. He has no idea. They walked on 2 legs, but he's no idea if they're elves or humans or what they were, because they always wore these masks. They were zealous in some kingdom that was hidden from the world. And in the center of this city was a massive pyramid-like structure where atop it the God King resided. It describes events of daily these bells would go off and the people would come out and all face the pyramid as the God King would reveal themselves. Some 20-something foot tall creature with a golden face and massive wings, and they would fly around the city. They said every now and then something would come, a dragon or orcs or something would attack the city, and the people in their masks would fight them off. But if anything got too rough, this God King would come and strike them down with lightning. You see at the beginning, he kind of narrates this as believing this is just some magic trick, some maybe semi-powerful wizard with illusion. But then towards the end of it, he starts to believe that this is some sort of divine and very powerful creature.
Sounds really cool.
Picking up on the context clues, you actually give me an investigation check.
Sure.
Just seeing what you pull out from this book.
Go with my green one. Not great. That's a 12.
At 12, it's hard to tell from context clues where it is. Rocky terrain with some forest. It could be anywhere. But that's the basics of that book.
Alright. And while I'm reading it, I'll read it out loud so Kalvyn can hear what I'm reading. In common.
I don't know if that's a great tale, I suppose, but I don't know if that's quite in line with what I've seen.
Yeah. That is a good tale. Friend, Kalvyn, why don't you kind of tell him what you saw, and maybe he has something about that.
Yeah, first, do you know anything about, and he looks to Meli for pronunciation purposes, I'm gonna just go with it, where to go. Agthakaw? Is that a thing that you're familiar with? Heard of, maybe, place?
I've never heard of this. He looks between you and Meli. Is this, you said it's a place? Where is it?
Well, I'm not positive. It might be the name of a place that I've heard of. We'll go with that, as it's not as weird. But, trying to find reference to a tower with maybe connected to Valasol, that might have something to do with under siege by demons, or in the abyss, something, words.
see, and he pulls out a few more references after 5 minutes of shumbling around. So, not a whole lot of definitive, by the scholar standards, information on the abyss and demons. Just, it's hard to get out alive, as you would understand. We do know that when the world was formed, the gods created a gate and separated the chaos, or the abyss, the infinite void, from the rest of everything. And in between that gate is a place called Armageddon, frequently referred to as. Really bad place. Demons and devils fight each other. But I don't know of any sort of tower. I know, let's see. Let me roll a dice. Valisol wasn't part of it. They created the gate between, and of course the Solars were champion warriors who fought off the demons. Eventually that role was handed over, though, to another god. I don't know if I should say their name, as he looks at Kalvyn with his big weapon and shield. But they were bad, and they now guard Armageddon. I wish I could be more helpful. Is it?
No,
do you want like a history lesson, or?
If there's history to it, if there's something, I don't know, if there's notable history events, maybe that might be relevant. Specifically when a Solar defeated the Titan in the Abyss.
Oh yeah, so that was early. The Nor was covered with Titans, and the Solars and the other champions of the gods came down and fought the Titans. It was during the age of... And he starts to looking up and to the left, trying to remember. He looks like he's calculating something. That was during the age of forging. So that was after the era of Titans. He starts to tell you about these eras and ages and timelines of creation of the world, and eras where the Titans were superior, and then the eras where the gods came down, their champions destroyed them. I think that's probably what you're looking at. I don't have the histories on that are sparse, as it was before really time was recorded, but next time I see more books, I'll look into the era of Titans. That'd be a good era of research for a fellow scholar.
Right. Yep, scholars.
He smiles and kind of looks back at Meli and Amsen.
So, Kalvyn, how do you feel about that?
Well, it's interesting. It doesn't give us a lot to go off of, a little bit more information, but...
Maybe if we take a little bit of time to sit down and think about it, we can maybe piece something together.
I had a thought, and he takes a piece of paper and writes some names on it. These books are hard to come by, and rarely will they let you leave any library with them, but if you find any written by these people, they'd be good references for you.
Oh, that sounds most excellent. Can I see that?
Of course, yeah, you can take it.
Excellent.
And you see there's 3 names on there, and I'll send them to you later.
Awesome.
He kind of slaps his hands together. Is there anything else I can help you with?
What was your name again, friend?
Oh, my name's Lyos.
Amsen.
He can reach his hand over. Pleasure, yeah. Happy studying.
Thank you.
Bye. And he goes back. Like, he immediately pours the tip jar out and begins counting. As he's doing back in York, kind of turning from the book wagon to decide what to do next, we'll jump over to the shoppers. We have Orizana, Ellory, and Vesper. They're going to the market. You see all sorts of crazy stuff. People giving each other tattoos. You see foreign carpets. You see strange cloth. You've seen fruits and vegetables you've never seen before. Weird baubles made out of strange crystal. A little bit of everything.
Did you have anything in particular you were looking for, Vesper?
I was hoping to find an alchemy shop. There's a couple of components I want to see if I can find.
Okay. Do you want to look for that first?
Sure, yeah. Can't guarantee how fruitful it'll be, but if you don't mind helping me out.
Sure. I'm not exactly an expert on alchemy, but...
That's sorry, I'm looking for something particular.
So, looking around, you eventually find a place with a banner above it that says Salt of Titration is the name of this alchemy shop. Very small, but actually has 4 walls. And similar to a lot of the shops here, there's a window that looks like it can be closed. Approaching it, you see a older individual, hooded, eyes shielded from the outside glaring sun. It seems to be muddling something up in the back.
Pardon me.
Yes. You see an older female approaches, leading her stand. She has grayed hair, very pale. Though most of her face is covered, you can see these bright eyes under the hoods.
I was looking for something in particular. I figure a port that does so much trade would be a good place to find something rare.
Well, you would be correct in that. What are you searching for?
The blood of a basilisk.
Hard to come by indeed. I have a bit of it.
Might I see how much?
I have 3 vials worth, an ounce each.
And how much are
someone already... Well, I sold the other 4 vials for 100 gold each.
How far would an ounce go in all my medical and alchemical knowledge?
You can give me an alchemy check. Or you could also remind you of the take 10 mechanic.
I would love to take 10 on my alchemy tool. Would that be with intelligence, probably?
Yeah. So it's 10 just plus your proficiency in intelligence.
That's only a 15.
Pretty good. It's hard to say because you had never used it before, just from watching your father that one time. You saw he took several ounces. You're trying to remember with 15, maybe like 5 or so. It distilled to a very concentrated liquid that got most of him.
I'll take 1 ounce.
Of course, 100 gold pieces.
I'll pay her.
Give me one more alchemy check.
Okay.
And, roll this one.
Okay. Well, it's the same. It was a 10, so 15.
Okay. As she reaches back and grabs one of the vials, she kind of presses it towards you. You notice it is heavily coagulated. It's almost nearly solid at the bottom, with what looks like waterish plasma at the top.
You don't have anything fresher than this.
Fresh is hard to come by, dear.
I understand that. I'd pay extra.
How much extra?
I could throw in another 75. I can't hear you now.
If you purchase the vial you have in your hand, I will tell you, for free, where you'll find some. But I cannot guarantee you'll sell it. You came to me a few days too late.
Would this do anything for him at this stage?
It might. I mean, the older it is, the more the essence loses that potency. And so the more of it, if you have a bunch of old basilisk blood, it's going to take a lot more to distill into something useful. The fresher you'll need less, but you still have to get it back to him too. So it's kind of a toss-up of how you want to go about it. You do have the bag of coldings, which will preserve it somewhat.
Gosh. I'll look to Ellory. What do you suppose?
I mean, you knew this wasn't going to be easy, so I think anything that we get here, it's going to be a while before we get back. So nothing we bring back is going to be totally fresh.
No, but if we get something that is fresh, we can put it in Kalvyn's bag.
That's true.
I think we'll pass, but thank you.
She sighs as she takes back the vial. And you have no desire to know where you might get some fresher from?
Is there a nest nearby or something?
Not nearby. I can tell you who I sold my fresh product to, and I can tell you my source.
Remember, Vesper, that Kalvyn knew where we could find some very fresh basilisks?
That is true.
I don't know.
We might have to take our chances with that.
Perhaps a health potion then, if you're going to be fighting basilisk.
I would love to look at your other wares, yes. Thank you,
yes.
By the way.
Of course. I have several.
She goes through and she has several health potions, a few others of other types. She has several alchemist fire, actually, and a few other rare items, but mostly health, and Alchemist Fire seemed to sell well.
Yeah, what health potions does she have?
She has the bottom 2 levels, the basic and then the 1 step up. The 1 step up are bonus action ones, so they're concentrated, but they're more expensive.
I will go with the base potions.
Okay, so the base are actions to consume, but they're only 50 gold. She has 6 of those. How many are you getting?
2.
Okay, so 2, so 100 gold. 2 basics, 2d4 plus 2. They are actions for those 2. They're not as concentrated, so just mark that somewhere. As you finish your business with her turning to go find out what else armor for Orizana or whatever she needs, Ezekiel, what are you doing?
I want to head to the docks. I don't know if this is going to work. I want to try and find some kind of traveler, either like the sailor who's known for have gone to the most ports or whatever, trying to get someone who may have heard of one of the places I saw in my vision.
Okay. First, give me a persuasion check to ask around, or you can give me an investigation check.
Not going to do that. I'm going to do persuasion, which is everything is slow. 10.
A 10? You hear that Otto, she doesn't travel much anymore, but she used to travel supposedly all over the world. She manages the stables on the edge of town. As far as people who have been in the most ports, they point to any of the helves or the navigators for golden elf ships.
I'll go talk to the old lady.
Okay. So walking towards the edge of town, you find a place that has a sign. It doesn't have the standard sail banner as some of the other places do, but it has a sign that says the Tavarian Stables, and you see there's a number of half-elven humans with elven heritage individuals working, cleaning some of these horses, training them, with a small sort of cottage and barn attached. Going inside, you see there's one of these half-elven individuals that seem to be working on some sort of accounts, and you see an old lady, short, small, a halfling. She looks like she's 100. She has curly white hair going everywhere. She's a blanket over her, and she's kind of rocking in a rocking chair, holding what looks like tea.
Well, hello there. Otto, was it?
It's Otto.
And she kind of hops up with spring that's unexpected in her step, and she kind of walks over, lets the blanket just fall on the floor.
Are you looking for a steed?
Possibly, actually, but I came here searching.
You're a tall one.
And she adjusts your glasses. She's 4 foot tall, if that.
Well, let me come down to your level, and I'll just kneel on the ground. I actually came here searching for rumors of you. I'm told you have traveled around this world more than any other person in this city.
Well, not as much by sea, but I have traveled a great deal.
She looks very proud.
That's wonderful. I'm wondering if I might pick your brain and see if you might know places I've heard stories about.
I would love that. Yeah, please, take a seat.
She gestures over to a table. It's a shorter table, has a regular-sized chair, and then, of course, sort of a step up to a chair that's clearly meant for her. She steps up, takes another small ceramic mug, and pours some tea in it for you as well, slides it over.
Well, thank you very much. So the places that I'm looking for, I don't have much to go off of, but perhaps you've heard of some. A swamp with black water and old stone tower.
Swamps. Well, it sounds tower. I've heard of places. The Snarl of the 6 Deep, I think is what it's called. It's the place no one's come back from. They say it's twisted jungles and swampland. Trying to think of others.
She looks like she's straining, trying to remember.
Other swamps I've been to. Surprised they were there so far. That was my time in the Dreadlands for you.
Must have been an interesting adventure.
Far south of here. I wouldn't recommend it.
Alright, how about a cave of black quartz?
I've seen something like this before. It wasn't black, it glowed. But I've seen caverns filled with crystals, mined by those deep enough to do so. Dangerous, but walk between worlds in those places. I went there through some of the dwarven cities in the spine. You go deep enough, you can find them as well. I've heard you can enter them through the obsidian break, but I've never done so myself.
Well, thank you. I'll have to look a little bit more deeply into those. You said you had some horses for sale.
I do. I have many horses, and she snaps her fingers, and this half-elven-looking person kind of comes over and brings a ledger. I have several different types. I have, of course, the mules and the ponies. I have several riding horses, a few war horses, and of course I have my lovely Tavarian, but he's not for sale.
I don't know what that is. A simple draft horse would be just fine.
Okay. That would be 50.
Do you mind if I see the horse before I purchase?
Of course. Come with me. And she hops off, again with an unusual springness for what looks like a very elderly lady. She walks you out, back and around, circling around the barn, where you see a number of sort of sectioned, fenced-off areas. You see a number of horses. Over here, and you see a few trotting around, draft horses. They're not the biggest, but they look like they're well taken care of. There's no hunchback or anything from excess weight. They look healthy. One is black, one is a reddish-brown color, and there's a paint horse as well. That seem to be the draft.
You allow me just a moment with them, and I'll cast Speak with Animals on myself, and kind of wave down the horses. Howdy, ladies and gentlemen, or mustangs, and what's a girl horse?
Sally.
Stallions and mares?
Okay, that works too. I don't know the difference. I don't know horses. Anyway.
Hello?
I just wanted to check in on you. I might need another companion on the road. How would one of you feel about pulling a cart on a little bit of a journey?
They kind of look at each other before looking back to you. Not my favorite.
I can imagine.
What's your passive perception, Ezekiel? I imagine it's decently high.
17?
So you hear numerous hooves clomping around you, and you notice to the right, you hear a sudden heavy doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo of heavy hooves. You look over, and you see something, the biggest warhorse you've ever seen. You see it's massive white and black, a pattern speckled like that of a Dalmatian. You see as it gets closer, leaping over the fences, running towards you, this massive horse, and as it gets closer, you see its mouth is almost split further, like that of a dog's. This strange, maybe a horse as it gets to you, leaping up into the fence before rearing back and coming up to you. It's maybe twice the size, 3 times the size of these smaller draft horses that comes up.
Well, aren't you gorgeous?
The other horses kind of move to the side and kind of kneel their heads below. As it...
I will, seeing them, kneel to the horse as well. Or bow slightly, at least.
You speak.
I can, at times.
What do you seek?
We're taking a journey. We have one who can't make it all on her own. I was hoping someone might pull a cart and help her get there. I know it's not an admirable task, but what is it that you seek?
To protect. These are mine. Will the work break their backs?
No, I won't let it. I'll share it if I need to.
And will you share food, water?
Of course.
It gets closer, and the mouth is unsettling. It's split all the way back like a dog, this huge Dalmatian
horse, and we protect them from the wild.
As well as I protect everyone else who travels with me. They will be one of my companions. I cannot guarantee it, but none of us can in this day. But I will try.
He kind of nods, snorts, and then looks towards the other horses that have kind of backed up from it. He is to take honor in your work. Ride swift. It looks back to you, gives a slight nod before kind of backing up, trotting away, allowing the other horses to now eagerly, like, I will carry cart. No, I will carry it. And they seem all eager to carry this cart.
Well, I only need the one, so you gentlemen fold the parchment shields your way through it, and I will, I will let them decide, regretfully, that I only need one, and I'll go talk and pay. I'll take whichever one's going to follow me out.
The red one seems to step forward as the others back up as you pay. Take the horse. She includes a saddle for you with the 50, and you have this red horse, this reddish-brown horse. And as you walk up and we begin to see where you guys go next, we're going to take a quick break here. We're back at 9:45.
Next time on Back to the Story.
She looks at the gold in her hand, eyes wide, more money she's probably ever seen in her life in one place.
And you'll see him, jump into the water and do this, mermaid thing, and then he's a dolphin.
There's been this song stuck in my head, and I don't know, it popped into it again tonight.
He'll wait for a few seconds of silence before some strings will quietly start playing out of thin air.
He's an artist. He's a tattooist, but he's an artist first.
For part 2 of this episode of Back to the Story, you can find it on Stitcher, Google Play, Player FM, or TuneIn. If you'd like to support the show, feel free to buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/backtothestory.